On July 24, 2012, news of the death of Professor John Evans Atta Mills hit the nation. The president had passed. The entire nation was thrown into shock and a heaviness that was almost tangible. Per constitutional requirement, John Dramani Mahama, then vice president, was sworn in to continue the remainder of the late President Mills's term. Parliament quickly reconvened with the Chief Justice to swear in the Vice President, the first in Ghana.
Having assumed the high office of President of the Republic of Ghana,
having assumed the high office of President of the Republic of Ghana,
on the basis of Article 66 of the Constitution,
on the basis of Article 66 of the Constitution,
history was made. A visibly broken Vice President became the fourth President of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, marking the beginning of the road to the presidency, and the indicators of a Mahama-led administration was gradually established.
It is with deep sorrow and a heavy heart that I address the nation through your august house tonight. For the first time in the history of our dear country, we have lost a sitting president who worked so tirelessly for his people. Tears have engulfed our nation, and we are deeply saddened and distraught. I never imagined that one day I would address our nation in such difficult circumstances.
The eyes definitely have it.
There were diverse perceptions about the new president on the background of an impending election, and the change spread fast with enthusiasm. Issues that came up included the likable personality of then-candidate Mahama, the threat he could pose to opposition parties, and the need for an opposition that had been working on replacing a Mills-led administration to re-strategize towards replacing a Mahama-led administration instead. With the exit of Professor Mills from the electoral contest, the National Democratic Congress had to field a new candidate. Ideally, there had to be a contest. It was an open secret that within the party, consultations were underway to present John Dramani Mahama unopposed for endorsement. A week before the party's Congress in September, then caretaker President Mahama personally picked up his nomination forms from the NDC headquarters, characterized by a fanfare atmosphere. His message at that moment was unity within the party. That, he said, would play a major role in his decision to contest on the party's ticket.
I will accept the endorsement of Congress when it is given, and I'll accept it on the basis that we're going to stand together as one united family. It is only when I'm certain that my party is standing as one united whole behind me that I have the confidence in and I want to assure you that as one united whole, and with God at our side, we are going to win the election.
On 1st September 2012, the NDC held an emergency national congress at the Babayara Sports Stadium in Kumasi. The congress was expected to endorse an earlier decision made by the National Executive Committee of the party. Anticipation of the initial reaction of founder and former President Rawlings was ripe. His wife, Nana Kunedu-Agyeman Rawlings, was leading a group of breakaway NDC members in a party called the National Democratic Party. President Jerry Rawlings had never minced words in communicating his displeasure about Mills's government style and then current situation in the NDC as a party.
Ladies and gentlemen, why are we afraid of her? Why are we afraid of this little woman? Well, not you and I. And I don't think it's the same for the grassroots. Unless
because you are indisciplined, you're a thief, you have no sense of value, of morality, etc., I don't think you will near her. You will detest her. She has fought for us day and night. From the days of the PNDC, even AFRC, 33 years. When men, wives and girlfriends were traveling in and out and having a good time, she was traveling every nook and cranny, every hamlet, every village in this country. I don't think any one of us knows the country as well as this woman. Did she want to be president? That was not her initial desire. She humbly decided to join the party so that she could help to bring the NDC on course. But no, the leadership had to thwart every effort, humiliate her, insult her. No citizen has suffered as much humiliation and insult as this lady has done.
So, many wondered whether he would endorse John Mahama or bundle him up in the Mills's criticism rhetoric. On 1st September 2012, party founder President Rawlings's presence, although without his usual companion Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, was significant for the party. At the end of the Congress, the NDC endorsed President John Dramani Mahama as the 2012 presidential candidate. He polled 2,767 votes, representing 99.5% of total votes cast, to represent the party in the December 2012 polls. 14 persons voted against his candidature and 11 votes were rejected. President Mahama pledged to patch up all cracks in the party, particularly with former President Jerry Rawlings. He said, "The mere presence of our founder here is an indication that our differences are over." He later chose Kwesi Amisa Arthur, who was then governor of the Bank of Ghana, as vice president in a ceremony at the National Theatre.
We manage the economy not by theory, but by the fact that for the last 25 years, we have practiced the management of this economy. So we bring an understanding to the economy, but we have also managed it. So it's not from textbooks. And you know that in many aspects, the plans that we draw up do not materialize because the world changes and there are many things that change with it. And so, at various points, we have to modify our plan in order to achieve our objective.
He embarked on a nationwide tour, which was described by his office as a thank you tour. Just as the name suggests, it was meant to say thank you to Ghanaians for their support during the funeral and burial rite of the former President John Evans Atamels. But the organization and mode of the tour left questions on the minds of Ghanaians as to whether it was anything more than a thank you tour. With the launch of the party's manifesto in the Volta regional capital, Ho, a continuation of the Mills government had already begun.
Under the Energy for All program, we will complete those and move Ghana's electrification coverage to above 90%. We're going to build airstrips in the remaining 4 regions that don't have them, so that planes can land here in Wo. We are going to continue the modernization of agriculture to make sure that Ghana is able to feed itself. One of the main successes in driving down inflation under our government has been the food basket, and we will continue to increase food production. We'll build 1 more public university in the eastern region. It is the only region Eastern region is the only region left that does not have a public university. Corruption is going to be high on the agenda of government in terms of fighting it. I can understand when people make unsubstantiated allegations on the radio, when they are ordinary people. But when serious political leaders and political parties hold press conferences and make unsubstantiated allegations that don't hold any water, I think that is a very irresponsible behavior. I will never do it. I'll never accuse anybody on an unsubstantiated basis. And I hope that other political leaders will also do the same. And that they will call their followers to order when they make these unsubstantiated allegations. If you are a responsible political leader, if you are a responsible political party, if you think somebody has indulged in corruption, there are the appropriate institutions that you can go to and have those allegations investigated and punished. I am prepared as president of this country to appear before anybody, any institution, to be investigated for corruption.
President John Mahama released his policy statement in which many directives were issued.
We're determined to break the cycle of overspending, especially in election years. Strict instructions have already gone out to all sectors against any unbudgeted expenditure. No new projects are allowed to be undertaken without strict adherence to the discipline of the national budget. Each sector minister has to give an account of compliance with this directive. I'm convening a cabinet meeting next week to receive briefings from each sector on this directive. On the basis of these briefings, the Ministry of Finance will also brief Cabinet on the outlook for government expenditure over the remainder of this year.
President Mahama's policy statement was highly anticipated, but many did not predict that he would announce delays in public servant salaries, and this is meant to check ghost names on public payroll.
I ask our public servants to appreciate that this is a major reform initiative and that a few glitches might have arisen for which we need the patient understanding of all. All the concerns that pockets of the public service have expressed regarding the exercise will be duly addressed in the next few months. Every time we're negotiating migration onto single spine, there are threats of strike action. However, when the wishes are granted and the single spine is effected and remuneration goes up, public servants revert to the bad old ways. The service attitude of the police has improved, but we all know that drivers are still paying bribes on the roads, and they in turn behave with impunity, knowing that any arrest will go nowhere. My point is, increased pay is supposed to come with increased and better productivity.
He talked about a National Development Planning Commission to provide manufacturing opportunities for Ghanaian industries and, most importantly, an end to bureaucracy in public offices, with the establishment of a client service system to receive complaints and a trade enforcement unit to rigorously investigate undue advantage of foreign investors over domestic ones. On infrastructure, the President says though 4 months is too short for any visible increase, he will ensure that Ghana has value for money.
On the broader infrastructure front, the focus over the next 4 months will be to identify priority projects amongst all ongoing projects and bring the weight of the presidency to bear on managing an agreed plan to guarantee that percentage completion is visibly increased over the period. To guarantee that percentage completion is visibly increased over the next 4 months. From the payment of government monies to persons and institutions who do not deserve them, to the misuse of government assets by officials of state. While legitimate debts of the state must be paid, it would appear that in some instances payments have been made in circumstances that were all the facts known, those payments should not have happened. I've also decided to appoint a sole commissioner to thoroughly examine the judgment, debt, and negotiated settlements conundrum and recommend for immediate implementation legislative and systems remediation.
In the wake of load shedding, he said dialogue in the sub-region will be intensified as the country doubles its electricity generation to make up for the shortfalls in the sector.
I further instructed the economic management team to ensure prudent utilization and in a transparent manner of the additional resources from our oil revenues.
On healthcare, the one-time premium policy and the capitation program will be hastened as additional sources of funding for the NHIS is sought. On education, he said resources will be channeled towards improving fallen standards, quality of trained teachers and subsidies to senior high schools. On rural water supply, he urged the ministry to engage NGOs and stakeholders to provide lasting solutions. A national sanitation program will also be rolled out to tackle the poor sanitation conditions in the country. He also directed the inclusion of all opposition leaders in national programs. He noted his policy agenda may not cover all sectors, but the timelines given on all of them will be rigorously monitored to ensure delivery of results. President John Mahama became the first sitting president to participate in the IEA encounter for presidential candidates since its inception. This move was in sharp contrast with his successor, late President Mills's position on the matter.
We received your first letter inviting His Excellency Professor J.A. Mills to participate in the debate. We engaged the professor at that time and we got a response to the committee. And the response stated his position clearly that since the establishment, the institution of these debates, no sitting president had participated in it, and he wanted to follow tradition like key soap. The tradition goes on. Unfortunately, circumstances have changed following the unfortunate demise of His Excellency Professor J.A. Mills. And I acknowledge the fact that the Presidential Debate Committee has since submitted another request in view of the new changes. And I did indicate that we were still engaging with the new leadership of the party and the new presidential candidate, and that we'll get back to you. Fortunately, I have since engaged with the new president. The thinking is that he believes in the fact that as at now, he sees himself as a caretaker president. He has never participated in the presidential debates before, and he also believes in the policy of constructive engagement with stakeholders in society. And indeed, he made this thing very, very clearly in his maiden policy statement. On that occasion, he did indicate that he would be instituting regular meetings with all the political party leadership and other stakeholders in the country, because he believes in shared leadership. And so it wasn't difficult for him to reconsider the position that has been taken by the party in the past. And so he has requested me to indicate to you his preparedness to participate in the evening encounters and the subsequent debates, this being his first opportunity to engage the nation and engage the other presidential candidates.
This new position was explained and defended by the party hierarchy. Earlier on, the NDC has said it wouldn't participate in this debates, but now the times have changed, things have changed. Don't you think your opposition, your competitors are going to use this against you?
No, why? Unless they are not thinking properly. Because decisions are taken according to the objective conditions, you understand. So everybody in Ghana, including our competitors, know that the conditions in NDC has changed. Unless people refuse to apply logic, they would need to accept the fact that the basis of the initial decision was that the sitting president has participated in the debates before, and it is not the tradition of the debates that sitting presidents participate. President Rawlings did not participate as a sitting president. He got some flack from President Kufuor in those days, candidate Kufuor in those days, and so we thought that when President Kufuor became a president, he would then want to change the tradition and then participate. He also cited President Rawlings' decision not to participate as a justification for him not participating. So you had the convention developing. So it wasn't difficult to accept the position of Professor Mills when he decided to go by that same tradition. So he has decided that he would want to, for the first time, participate in the debates. So that's we have endorsed it.
Let me take away the 3 universities.
John Mahama later embarked on a vigorous campaign, some going deep into the night and even at dawn. And the indicators of a Mahama version of the better Ghana unfolded.
Please get this lady. Where's the security? Jamesa, Jamama, Jamesa, Jamama, Jamesa, Jamama, Jamesa, Jamama, Jamesa.
In the run-up to the December 2012 elections, about 8 political parties were billed to participate. The Convention People's Party, the New Kid on the Block, the Progressive People's Party, the People National Convention, the Great Consolidated Popular Party, United Front Party, independent candidate Joseph Osei-Yeboah, and the biggest opposition, the New Patriotic Party. The unprecedented biometric elections went into a second day, the very first in Ghana's electoral history. At the end of the day, Chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwadwo Afari-Gyan, declared President John Mahama winner of the election.
The total valid votes cast 10,995,262. Total rejected votes 251,720. Therefore, total votes cast 11,246,982. The total registered voters 14,158,890.
The opposition was unhappy, but was told to use the right channel, the court. With the court proceedings ongoing, President Mahama continues to serve his term. On 7th January 2013, John Mahama and partner Kwesi Amissah-Arthur were sworn in.
Suffer the penalty for it.
and suffer the penalty for it.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Then it was the turn of President-elect John Mahama.
I,
John Dramani Mahama,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
do in the name of the Almighty God swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
It was a colorful ceremony, an enthusiastic crowd with many African leaders present to witness the occasion. But members of the opposition boycotted the inauguration except for former President Kufuor, who was there in his capacity as a former president. Beyond the color, beyond the opposition, and beyond the day, expectations were high.
The promises here, he said he will do, he will do. He should fulfill us his promise. The 200 schools he promised, he should do all that for us. And I'm happy, inshallah, John Mahama will do all this for us.
He shouldn't disappoint Ghanaians, so we are appealing to him that we want him to go by the constitution of the PNDs.
And was school fees are bashi free. What's more quality, Moshe and bashi free. Because when you now me fair me here go. And no chuma abamami. You want yemen, I'm a benutumona, and anutumona, me tunianiska abamami. She won a war. Get ye fair. Next 4 years of back by say. I can what more say painting.
We are using your doors. The person you might be brave, but a memu. Near Juma be because anyone be brave, Juma and on the number memu. I will you to have a brave book on the eye and your fit. Said Juma, many mean yes, you are 7 years ago. What my eye say, a cocomoteni pawano, a better you never so near Pobia, a manaba.
You will fish one away a gun and a bammy. Neani mo fia mo tua nwanni jaja mi ayika ni do mo shine nhia ni yoda na ajo mi no wo mi sumoni menene kaja meneka ya NDC party e ana do mo shi ni no fia no na ne ka me ba fia me ane fe ni wo tua nwo wo mi ate wonye NDC se shi wo yin ehweshi no ni mo fia mo ta wo eni ne ba hye no eni ne hye no o ba fe disappoint da bi da eni o ba shi party e mi shi ni kaka eni ni yawo.
In the next episode, the president is called to duty and calls his members to same. This is the series of